Hi everyone! Today we'll show you how to prepare for the AMC 1012
and qualify for AIME and the USA JMO or AMO. So before we begin, we're going to give you guys a quick rundown on what the AMC 10 is if you don't already know. The AMC 10 is a 25-question, 75-minute exam. It is multiple choice. For every correct answer, you get 6 points, no answer, you get 1.5 points, and a wrong answer is 0 points. That means you can answer no questions and still get a 37.5, which isn't too bad. The AMC 10 covers the high school curriculum up to 10th grade. There are two contests, the AMC 10A and the AMC 10B, and you can take both of them. The AMC 10 is for students in grade 10 or below, and they also have to be under 17 and a half years of age. There is no lower grade limit, so even elementary schoolers can take the AMC 10. The AMC 10 takes place in February, and this might change from the 2021 to 2022 school year.
Now the only difference between the AMC 12 and AMC 10 is it includes complex numbers, trigonometry, and logarithms. But remember that the AMC 12 will exclude calculus, and even though some problems can be solved with calculus, all problems have a non-calculus solution. And instead of grades 10 and below, it's grades 12 and below, and under 19.5 years of age. So the importance of the AMC 1012. Well, you can qualify for the AIME, the American Invitational Mathematics Examination. And generally, the top 2.5% of students from the AMC 10 and top 5% of students from the AMC 12 are invited to take the AIME. However, this might have changed in the past. Also, there are 15 questions and 180 minutes total. So on average, you get 12 minutes per question, which is a lot, but the questions are also very hard, with the average scores being typically 5 to 6 or 2 to 6 in the future too. So the AIME score, along with your AMC 1012 score, is what you call the USAJMO or USAMO index. And based on that, you can qualify for the USAJMO or USAMO. And the competition day is typically March. And historically, AIME cutoffs, they've been typically in the range of, for the AMC 10, they've been in the range of 110 in the past years. And for AMC 12, they're typically in the range of 90, 95 types. But in recent years, as you can see here, the cutoffs have actually lowered for the 2019 and 2020 years. This could be because the test is just harder, or maybe they started accepting more than 2.5% for the AMC 10, or maybe they accepted more than 5% for the AMC 12. The importance of the AMC 1012. You can qualify for the USA JMO or the USA AMO, which is basically a proof contest. And like I said earlier, you have your USAJMO and USAMO index, which is basically your AMC 10 score plus 10 times the AIME score, or your AMC 12 score plus 10 times your AIME score. So if you got 126 on the AMC 10 and a 9 on the AIME, that would put your index at 126 plus 90 or 216. And again, there's going to be 3 questions, 2 days, each time you get 4.5 hours, and you get between 0 and 7 points for each question. And this contest typically happens in April, and the top scorers from this competition can actually are invited to the Math Olympiad Summer Program.
The AMC 1012 can also allow you to qualify for Math Prize for Girls, which is an invitation-only event at MIT that takes place in October. The top 300 girls from the US are invited based on their scores in AMC 10 or 12. The cutoffs for Math Prize for Girls are typically a little bit higher than the AIME cutoffs. It is the largest math prize for girls in the world, and it gives out over $50,000 in prizes. The top 40 students from the competition are invited to take the Math Prize Olympiad, which is a proof-oriented contest that gives you 4 problems in 4 hours.
Here are the 6 steps to prepare for the AMC 1012 and qualify for the AIME or USAJMO. The first step, you want to build a good foundation. You need to know the basics of the algebra, combinatorics, geometry, number theory, and you should check out the fundamentals classes, the AMC fundamentals class and the AMC advanced or math counts class, which you can check out on this YouTube channel or on the Omega Learn website. And you can also practice old AMC 8 and math counts tests. So basically, you want to be able to solve middle school math competition questions before you move on to preparing for the AMC 1012. And once you're ready for that, now we get to move on to step 2.
So step 2 is to learn AMC 1012 concepts. You can do this through some free classes, such as the Omega Learn AMC 1012 class. This class is an amazing way to learn all of the concepts you need for AMC 10 or 12, and I highly recommend it.
Okay, so here's the Omega Learn website, as you can see here. There's resources for elementary schoolers, middle schoolers, and high schoolers. There's also videos. There's free classes for MOAMs through AMC 1012. And there's also an AMC 1012 program where you can register right now.
We also recommend you study for AMC 1012 with some books, and the best one we think is AOPS's Volume 1. This book is a great summary of algebra, number theory, combinatorics, and geometry, and offers you a high-level review of all these concepts before you take the AMC 12. It also comes with a solution manual, which you should also probably get because some of the problems are quite challenging and you might need some help figuring them out. And more classes that are paid that may also help you prepare for the AMC 1012 are the classes offered by Alpha Star Academy, Art of Problem Solving, or Awesome Math. But these classes are all paid, as I previously mentioned.
Okay, so the next step is take some AMC 1012 tests. So now you've learned all the concepts. So now when you take some AMC 1012 tests, you'll see, oh, I'm missing all the geometry questions or something, or you're seeing that you're getting more of the combinatorics questions. So you can identify your weak topics. You can identify maybe you're bad at geometry. And then let's say I'm bad at geometry. Then what I can do is I can go to Alchemist, which is really great because Alchemist right here has basically topic by topic. You can practice topic by topic questions. So you can practice maybe angle tracing, or you can practice Pythagorean theorem, or whatever concept you're bad at, you can practice it and become better at it. So you can keep improving on your weaknesses until you get to the point where you're comfortable with all or most of the topics. So that's why it's really good just to take a few tests and see what your weaknesses are. So there are also many great books, such as the Art of Problem Solving books. And there's many math books out there, but from my opinion, I think the Art of Problem Solving books are the best.
So the first book in the series is the Introduction to Algebra book. This book covers all the basics of algebra, and it also comes with its solution manual, which we highly recommend you get because some of the problems are quite challenging and you may need the solution manual's help.
And another great book is Introduction to Number Theory book. And this book has many great topics such as modular arithmetic and primes and algebraic number theory, and has many great concepts for the AMC 10 number theory problems. So it's definitely really helpful for that.
The next book is the Introduction to Counting and Probability book, also a great way to learn all of the combinatorics topics you need. Again, it comes with its solution manual.
And another great book is Introduction to Geometry book. And this is also really great for AMC 1012 geometry questions. And also, again, it comes with a separate solution manual, which you definitely should get, as you can see here. And also want to mention that some of you might be familiar with the school courses of Algebra 1 and in geometry, but these books are actually much harder than their respective school courses. They have many more challenging problems, and they do cover the school fundamentals that you learn in school, but they have much more into it than the stat, and it's mostly targeted towards competition preparation.
And please remember that although these books are pretty big at times, they're very helpful. So even though there's not a lot of time left until the AMC 10, we recommend you work on the concepts you need through the help of these books.
And also something you can do is if you're on limited time, let's say you know you're bad at geometry and number theory, you can get both of those books and not get the algebra and counting books.
So step 4 is to take more AMC 1012 practice tests. And you can do this on the AOPS wiki, and the link is provided right there. So the AOPS wiki gives you a list of all of the AMC 10 practice tests, as you can see here, from 2000 to 2020. So for example, let's take a look at the 2015 AMC 10A test. We open up the link and it just gives us a list of all the problems, and we can take a look at the whole test. And you can always print this out and do it for practice. And similarly, a page exists for the AMC 12, and it gives you all of the AMC 10 and 12 practice tests. And you want to take all the tests from 2000 to the present if you have time, and make sure you're taking it as a timed test to simulate real test-taking conditions.
Something that I've heard very often is that, oh, I'm not able to finish the test in time. So if you're finding that, oh, you're not able to finish the whole test, you're not able to attempt all the problems within 75 minutes, that means you need some improvement on speed. So if you need to improve your speed, then I recommend you start off, let's say you need 2 hours to really complete the test. So you can take 2 hours, take it, and then slowly try to go faster and faster. So slowly reduce your time, maybe by 5 minutes every time. So you start with 2 hours, then go 1 hour 55 minutes, then 1 hour 50 minutes, and keep trying to work on that speed, build it up until you can get it in that 75 minutes for the test.
And if you're taking a set 75-minute test, which you should also be doing just to make sure that you're not used to taking a really large amount of time for your contest, you want to make sure to attempt all remaining problems after the time runs out. And what we suggest you do is create a document and note down the problems that you got wrong for each test or you struggled with. And read solutions or use hints to problems you can't solve, because you want to make sure that you have the tools to solve any problem if you see it again.
So next step, review. So now that you've done all your preparation, you've read the AOPS books, you've done the AMC 10-12 past tests, you've completed them, or most of them, now you want to review. Because you did all those resources in the past, now you need to make sure that you're actually remembering it. You're remembering how to solve those problems you couldn't solve. So redo the problems from your review document. So let's say you were not able to solve number 21 and 23 on AMC 10-12. Do them again. See if that, let's say you read the solution a few weeks ago, can you do them again? No. Continue to work on your weak topics. So continue to practice those weak topics that you're at. You can use Alchemist, which is also great for practicing your weak topics, as we showed earlier. Also, review the formulas and concepts a few days before the test, because you want to make sure that you remember all these before the test. And you don't want to forget what the formula is to use the theorem on a problem when you need it at the time. And also, you can work on guessing and meta-solving techniques, which we'll discuss later in the slideshow.
So step 6 is the last step, and it is optional, although it is highly recommended. And this is where you want to aim for the next level. And you want to just make sure that you're fully prepared for any concepts that could come on the AMC 10.
Or 12.
Yeah. So what you want to do is the AOPS Intermediate Book Series, AOPS Volume 2, which is also a great book that gives you more practice with these difficult concepts. And here the book is, and its solution manual. You also can take mock AMC 10-12 contests that are located on AOPS forums. These, although they are not created by real test makers and are not going to fully reflect the difficulty of AMC 10, they are a good practice. You may also want to try doing some easier AIME problems, probably AIME problems 1 through 10, improve on your problem solving speed just by doing practice contests or other problems, and in the last 5 problems, you can take 5 to 10 minutes each. So you want to practice doing those problems because it can be more challenging. If you have a lot of time, you may also want to try taking contests from BMT, HMMT, etc., because these are also more practice with some challenging problems.
Also, you can also try taking Past Math Counts national tests for improving your speed, and those are also great for that. And you can check out the Omega Learn website here for more resources for high school competition math, and it has way more resources that we mentioned in this slide.
So now we're going to get into our intermediate books. So the first one is Intermediate Algebra. This just goes over more advanced algebra concepts and its solution manual.
And it goes over many concepts such as polynomials, logarithms, that it's more useful for AMC 12. So if you're AMC 10, you probably don't need to do intermediate algebra, but if you're doing the AMC 12, it could be really useful for getting those harder problems. Also, Intermediate Counting Probability, great book for advanced probability and counting concepts, which are also very useful on the AIME too. So definitely this will help you in the future as well. And of course, the solution manual, definitely want to get that.
And then we mentioned volume 2 already, and then we also have a pre-calculus book.
And pre-calculus is a very large book, and it covers concepts such as trigonometry and complex numbers, so important for the AMC 12, except this last half of the book, chapters 9 and onwards, those are more on vectors and matrices, so if you're preparing for only the AMC 10 and 12, you could skip those chapters and only work on chapters 1 through 8. And again, the solution manual, definitely want to get it.
For pre-calculus especially, you only want to do practice with the concepts that are going to show up on the AMC 12, so you're not going to waste your time. And for most AMC 10 students, it's pretty unnecessary to do that book. Some other books that you may want to look at are the My Math Counts books. Here are some of them, and they have their AMC 10 series where they go through just various AMC 10 problems and concepts needed. So these books are a good practice if you want more, but they do have some typos and errors, which is why we recommend doing the AOPS books first, and then if you have more time, you can get to these.
Okay, so now we're going to discuss the 3 strategies to maximize your score.
So what you want to do on your test day is not cram or study too much. You're not going to remember all of it if you're trying to cram information in your head. You want to make sure that you're well prepared a couple of days before the test. What you should be doing is just reviewing the formulas and any weak topics, and we will be providing a handout with consolidated formulas if you want to review that. You also want to make sure you're relaxed. You want to get a good night's sleep, eat a good healthy meal, meditate, eat dark chocolate, listen to music, or do whatever makes you feel relaxed. But going into the test stressed is definitely not going to help you.
Another thing you want to do is plan your time. So a very common mistake that many people, including me, have made is that you either going too slow on the first 10 questions, you're just going so slow, thinking that, oh, I still have lots of time left for the last 15 questions, and I'm just going slowly across the first 10 questions. But then realize that now you don't have enough time for the last 15 because they're much harder than the first 10. So you want to plan your time, make sure you're saving enough time for the middle and end questions too, because sometimes, even though 21 to 25 are typically the hardest, there can be a really easy question hidden within those questions. So you always want to at least look or think about one of the questions for some time, and occasionally you might even solve one of the hardest problems on the AMC 10. Also, don't get stuck on a question. If you have no progress for, I would say, a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, then just move on and come back to it later. Because sometimes what happens is that the problems in your brain, you think about it for a little bit, when you come back to it 20 minutes later, you have a new idea that occurs to you, and then you can solve the problem there. So it's not helpful just to keep thinking about one problem and getting stuck on that, and skipping is always helpful. Also, star any question you're unsure about what you think you can solve. So let's say I'm unsure about this question, but I think I got it, but I'm not sure if I maybe missed a case or something like that. Then you star it and make sure that when you come back on your checking, you make sure to check that question, make sure everything's correct, because you don't want to make a mistake on that problem. Also, budget your time properly. Leave enough time for the last 10 or even 15 questions. And also review all your start or problems you're unsure on, definitely.
And one thing that you want to make sure of is sometimes that there's questions in the test that don't necessarily are not placed where they belong. So maybe question 4 is just oddly difficult. You don't want to waste your time thinking, this is question 4, I should be able to solve it. Instead, move on. It may just be a question that's placed in the wrong area of the test, and you want to focus on attempting the problems you can solve rather than focusing on the ones that you aren't able to.
An example is that last year, 2020 AMC 12A, number 12 was considered to be a very misplaced problem, and many people thinking that it was way too hard for number 12. So definitely, if you're doing that contest, you want to be thinking, oh, I'm stuck on 12. Let's move on. Let's come back to it later. Let's try the other problem. So don't get stuck, because that will definitely not help you in any way.
So now we're going to talk about the most important thing, which is to avoid silly mistakes. Doing all of the books has given you all of the knowledge you need to solve the problems, but it really means nothing if you can't avoid your silly mistakes, as Sohel over here is very familiar with. So what you want to do to avoid silly mistakes is reread what the question is asking after solving. You may be trying to answer for what's the difference between two people's times or something like that. So you just want to make sure to reread the question to make sure you're answering what the question is asking for. You also want to try to substitute the values back into the question. So if a car is going 600 miles per hour is what your answer told you, that's probably not correct. So just make sure your answer makes sense in the context. For geometry problems, you can also try to estimate the area and length. The diagrams are not always to scale, but they are generally pretty close. So you can try and get a good estimate just based on the diagram they provide you. You can also try alternate solutions to confirm your answer if you have time and want to check your work. And make sure to put your answers in the answer sheet correctly, and you don't want to miss bubble.
But you won't have to worry about that this year because everything's online.
That is true.
Next, you want to look at your guessing strategies. So you get 1.5 points for leaving a question blank. And so if you don't know how to solve it, it's always better to leave a question blank than to just put a random answer. Because if you think about it, the expected value of the number of points you'll get if you guess randomly is 6 divided by 5 or 1.2. And you have 1.5 points if you just leave it blank. So if you're unsure, leave it blank. But if you can narrow down the choices to 2, 3, or even 4 options, then you can try to make an educated guess. Because then you have a chance, then you have the expected value of the number of points you're going to get is higher than if you just leave it blank. And for geometry problems, again, you can try to estimate it. So you can measure, you can actually get a ruler. You're allowed to rulers, you can use a ruler, measure the side lengths, see if you can maybe estimate it. Oh, but this year that would be hard because it's online. But in general years, you could try to do that. Also, you can try substituting the answer choices. So let's say I know that, okay, I want to find the largest number such that it's going to be divisible by 3, for example. As a simple example. You can just test all of the option choices to see which one will work. You can also look for outliers. So something that's the odd one out. So let's see, there's 5 option choices. 2, 7, 11, 13. 2 is the odd one out because it's the only even number. The other ones are all odd. So that would be, some kind of guessing that you can try to do.
We hope you found this video useful. We went through what books you should use to prepare, how you should work on your weave concepts, how you should take practice tests, what you should do during the actual contest and the days leading up to it, what guessing strategies you can use, and more. We hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching. For more information, check out our website, omegalearn.org.
And also make sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more fun and interesting and great ways to prepare for many of the upcoming math competitions. Thanks!